Sydneysiders have rallied at Town Hall on the 12th of September to coincide with the European Day of Action for Refugees. The international community and the Australian public have condemned Australia's policies on border control and the detention of asylum seekers. Sydneysiders have also showed their support during the Light the Dark Australia Says Welcome vigil at Hyde Park on the 7th of September. Under the Fraser government, 56,000 Vietnamese refugees arrived in Australia in 1975 to 1982. David Nguyen was one of the 2,000 boat people who fled the Vietnam War and came to Australia at the age of 8. He is now the Vice President of the Vietnamese Community of Australia and is the President of the Liberal Party branch of Cabramatta. He was also a participant in Season 3's Go Back to Where You Came From on SBS and supports boat turnbacks.
I guess it was very traumatic because if you can imagine it, I've never been on a boat. I never know what water was like. And my dad kind of like told me that, oh, we're going to visit your grandmother that weekend. So here I am assuming I'm going to visit my grandmother for the weekend, all excited, pack my bag. And then when I actually walked through the night out into the ocean where the boat was waiting for us, I then realized this is something wrong here. I don't know what's going on. And then the fact that my dad said, look, you know, I pray that you survive this journey and I hope that one day we'll see you again. And then at 8-year-old, I realized something's not right. When the boat started to go out towards the ocean, I realized what my dad has done. And then I can see that he broke down crying on the land. And then I was getting a bit nervous as well. You know, back then, I support the Tony Abbott's policy because the problem with the boat, right, is a lot of people, they were exploiting the refugees, right? They were taking advantage of these innocent refugees. So I wasn't against the boat people as such. I was against the people smugglers. You know, at first you might look at it and you think, that's what the government's doing, it's inhumane. But again, if you go back to it, it's all about allowing genuine refugee to come to Australia.
I'd say don't be duped by the lies that you've been told about asylum seekers. Don't be duped by the idea of people being queue jumpers or that they're just economic refugees. We know the vast majority of people are found to be refugees who come by boat. We know that Australia can take this extra population. If Germany can take 500,000 extra, then you know we can at least be taking 60, 70,000 extra. There's nothing to fear from refugees.
Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull had recently commended Abbott's decision to permanently resettle 12,000 refugees as a one-off intake on top of the initial 13,750 quota for this financial year. However, the public have demanded the government to do more for asylum seekers, such as increasing its annual humanitarian intake.
We think that 12,000 refugees from Syria is a drop in the ocean when we could easily take 30,000, and we shouldn't be actually sending the bombers into Syria. We should be in fact using that money to support the refugee camps. So that's why I'm here today.
Associate Professor Jaya Ernest led a study called Resettlement Experiences and Resilience in Refugee Youth in Perth, Western Australia, which was published last June. It argued that the reason we see refugees and asylum seekers as a threat was due to the fact that the government had translated a humanitarian issue into a security and border protection issue. Despite hardship, the study found that young refugees want to succeed and that support programs are essential for effective resettlement.
So what Australia has to do is to amend the temporary visas or bridging visas that it gives to asylum seekers, because currently asylum seekers don't have access to Centrelink, housing benefits or Medicare. So that makes them extremely disadvantaged living here in the Australian community.
The desire to succeed is also supported by new data from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, which was published this September. ABS revealed that after adjusting to a new life, refugees are the most entrepreneurial migrants in Australia. This counteracts with the perception that refugees are a burden on the economy.
You know, a lot of people say multiculturalism failed in Australia, and they say that ethnic enclave. I mean, if you look at it, immigration and refugee, they increase the standard of living for Australia. We contribute to Australia, we give back to Australia, and we do as much as we can for Australia.
My story started this week when I burst out into tears.
Angela Antenero, UTS News.
As I held my boy in my arms.